Thank you for joining us this evening for the May 2nd, 2023 Monte Sereno Regular City Council meeting. Before this meeting is called to order, I would like to point out a few house rules to assist council members, staff, and members of the public to successfully participate in this meeting. For tonight's meeting, Zoom is being used to allow public participation with the regular city council meeting. For those using Zoom to participate, there are two icons, chat and raise hand. Please use chat only to report technical issues such as being unable to hear a council member speaking. Please use raised hand to be recognized by the mayor and enabled to speak to the council. Only attendees using the Zoom application can raise the hand option to comment. Participants calling in from a telephone will only be able to listen and cannot provide any feedback or public comment. And lastly, when we are not all in the same room, all the votes in the meeting must be taken by roll call.
Thank you. I would like to call the regular meeting of the City Council of Monte Sereno to order on Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023 at 7:19 p.m. We have a youth commissioner that is going to do lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Zeidler, if you would come forward.
Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's great to have a youth commissioner come and attend our meeting. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Turner.
Here.
Councilmember Craig.
Here.
Councilmember Elahi.
Present.
Vice Mayor Wolshammer is absent. Mayor Mekachuk.
Present. With that, move to orders of the day. In terms of orders of the day, we're going to have two presentations, and then we've got oral communications, written communications, a consent calendar. And then we have one item, which is unfinished business. Are there any changes to the orders of the day? No? All right, we will proceed to presentations. We've got a proclamation and then a presentation. And what I'd like to do is make a proclamation recognizing Palestinian Cultural Day, and I will read the proclamation. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Monte Sereno does hereby proclaim May 15th, 2023 as Palestinian Cultural Day in Santa Clara County. Any comments by council members? No? All right, with that, we will move to a presentation on the Senior Services Roadmap for Los Gatos. And we've got two people that are doing this presentation, Mr. Tom Picraux and Ms. Nancy Pearson. And I will say that I have met with the several members of the task force, and they did an immense amount of work on this over the past 18 months or even longer, I think now. And it's very exciting what's going on in Los Gatos. And if you would like to go ahead, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having us. We're excited to tell you about this roadmap, which initially about a dozen community members, and it ended up being 17 of us completed in February, and was unanimously endorsed by the Los Gatos Town Council. And we're particularly interested in giving you sort of highlights of some of the areas that we found to be needs for senior services that for the community, which we think were interesting and are very much want to hear your opinions and your thoughts on things that you would find relevant or interesting to you in the community here. And so I'll let Nancy start.
Thank you all for having us. Can you hear me okay? Oh, yes. So like Tom said, about a year and a half ago, the town of Los Gatos brought 12 of us together from all different cross sections of the communities. And our goal was to try to fix what happened during the pandemic. So it became very apparent, obviously, that-
Nancy, if I could interrupt you just for a moment.
yes,
I think we know that Tom is from Los Gatos.
oh, sorry.
But we don't, I believe you're from Monte Sereno.
I am,
So
thank
could you
you.
just give us a little,
Yes, I'm a Monte Sereno resident and I have been for many years. I actually grew up in Saratoga, right on the other side of Quito, so I don't live very far from where I grew up. And so I was on the Senior Services Committee to represent service clubs. So that's why it didn't matter where I was from, but it was perfect because I could see what we were doing here in Los Gatos and how it could hopefully help also the residents of Monte Sereno, because we're all the same community, right?
and you're with what service club?
I'm with the Kiwanis Club of Los Gatos, Saratoga, and Monte Sereno. It's all one big happy family. And so as you can see from the list here, and you probably have seen in your packets, but we did represent and still do a little bit a cross section of everything. And our goal was gather information, see what's needed, and then figure out what to do with it. So we took quite a bit of time doing that with workshops, surveys, and we came up with 7 goals that are very broad. And we'll try not to get too much into detail today, but those are our 7 goals. And we're going to just briefly cover those right now. But our vision overall was to make Los Gatos and our combined communities an age-friendly community where older adults are engaged and can thrive. And what better thing to do, right?
Next time.
Yeah.
Next slide. Who's doing the slides? There you go. Well, that's just tells.
Yeah, that's just
We
the
are.
list of everyone. And then at the end of the year and a half, we actually incorporated the community's Community Health and Senior Services Commission also into our committee.
And we had 2 different mayors on the committee.
Yes,
And a counselor as well.
yeah, so we covered the whole thing. And this was our roadmap. And so we went through this painstakingly, and Tom will tell you all about it, and took all the different things and put them into 1-year goals, 3-year goals, 10-year goals. Tried to be very realistic. And that's what we call the roadmap. And that's what the council unanimously endorsed.
And so you see, we sort of set what are based on these 7 goals areas, which we'll tell you about briefly. Then, and for each goal, we decide, okay, what projects would you actually have to do to make something happen? Not just it'd be nice to have a new facility or to have a transportation with let's say a shuttle or something, but actually what would be a sequence of projects to do. And we came up with 57 projects for the 7 goals. And these would have timelines and milestones and all. And so we'll give you a bit of a flavor of that. But this slide shows kind of the big picture. There's a 1, 3, 10-year vision to move from a very fragmented set of services that we have now with relatively low engagement to a coordinated partnership. The pandemic revealed really a lot of strong weaknesses. And one was we just weren't communicating well with our So maybe just to point out that this shows you how we've had a series of projects and various timelines, milestones for each project. And so we can go on to the next one then. And Nancy, why don't you tell them about communications?
So one of the first things that we said many times to each other was, no matter what you do to a facility, it doesn't mean anything if you can't get people to get excited about it and come down. So we spent a great deal of time building up community engagement and getting people interested. We did surveys and workshops with various groups. And we also realized that it was more than just getting people engaged. There was a huge information gap, especially during the pandemic. It's gotten a little bit better now, but that was a huge thing as related to communications. Since then, there has been much progress in that arena, but we still need to keep it going, because if you don't keep people engaged, then everything just goes away. We have monthly meetings, for example, that are social at the Palms restaurant in Los Gatos, just for 55 plus. We have a hub on the LGS website where people can go in and find information easily in one location instead of it being so fragmented as it was prior to the
Senior services.
for senior services. The other thing, volunteer supported engagement. People need volunteers and people want to volunteer. It doesn't matter what your age is, right? So that's really what we're working toward, getting what are we calling it, a volunteer opportunity exchange. So you might, or I might call and say, I need my windows washed, and I don't want to, hire someone to just come and wash my windows for the day. It's too much. So the volunteers would go and do that, and vice versa. Does that make sense? Okay.
Next slide. Core senior services, yeah.
We kind of just went through and defined just common sense. What is a core or essential service? Nutrition, right? Everybody needs to eat and needs to eat good nutritional meals. Adult daycare, socialization, education, learning about how to avoid scams and so on. There's quite a bit of things related to core senior services, and we highlighted a lot of them.
Yeah, even starting a community garden.
Right.
So even starting a community garden, and also we include in this our nonprofit providers through the area, like West Valley Community Services is very important both for housing and for food. And they have a mobile food a van that comes through for people, and it has stops in several places here in our community once a week as well. Let's see, and another important one, which we use pandemic related ARPA money funds for, was to help rebuild the what we call 55 plus, the social recreational program for seniors. And that's the one where the membership has grown from like 300 to 700 or so at the end of last year, and is also doing very well this year. And they have monthly dances, they have game day, they have all types of games, a movie night, various things, a movie day, various things, activities for seniors. Next slide. So here are two more of the goals. We're in the area of enhanced transportation options and senior housing options. Now, these are things that are, you might say, harder to do, but for example, in the area of enhanced transportation, one thing we're looking at is to explore the possibility of a shuttle service. One, for example, as we did, Nancy and Catherine did workshops throughout the town, and we heard over and over again that from seniors that transportation is a really big issue particularly if as you age in place and you're living in your home. And if you stop driving or the spouse passes away and you have challenges to get around. And we found that particularly at night and in weekends is a real concern for seniors in our community. And so we had, with our Complete Streets and Transportation Commission, had meetings, for example, with the Cupertino staff person running their new on-demand. And what we're discovering is that all shuttles aren't incredibly expensive, which is what I thought at first, impossibly expensive. And how you organize and run a shuttle is an important thing. So that's a 3-year goal with our Transportation Commission to try and establish a process that might be doable and a way to sustainably run that. And that's something that might be good for our entire community, I would think. Senior housing options, we heard a lot about, just tell us what options are available for seniors, and a housing inventory for older adults was something that grew immediate response from seniors. And again, as Nancy said on communications, having websites, having this information in print, having it easily available and to know where to go to get it in a central community center, for example. And so that was one thing. Another thing that we're looking at that's a longer term thing is the village concept. I don't know if you're familiar with the Beacon Hill Boston Villages concept, but this is where it first started. But this is a concierge type association that is subscription based. It's generally for people at middle or upper economic level who want to age in place in home, but it becomes more difficult to keep things fixed up, to keep the house operational. What do I do when there's a plumbing disaster, or if I want simply to have the leaves raked from my yard and I don't trust, I don't know who to go and call up on the web that I would trust. And so this villages concept, as it's called, has been extremely successful in places like Berkeley and some of the other cities in the area. And we think that's one that's well worth looking at for our communities. The next slide. So I just wanted to show this to emphasize this point. Maybe, I think you can hear me, right? So if I walk over here, all we have up to now has been the blue, the town of Los Gatos. We have some commissions, senior transportation. We have the core services, like course, that Nancy talked about. But we have lacked on the right-hand side this community-based organization, a nonprofit foundation. And so that's a key objective this year that I will be working on, to form a 501c3 that has a purpose of raising funds to help senior programs, to help supplement the programs for that the town pays for, and also to do a long range view of raising money for either refurbishing, rebuilding, or building a new community center. That's sort of the 10-year goal with finance campaigns and all. And if you look at places, some of the other cities, over time, that have this type of community fundraising foundation, they have managed to grow their senior programs, their funding, and the town's input has stayed the same. Palo Alto has not changed how much they provide for support to Avenidas in well over a decade, I think a decade and a half or more. And Sassy, for example, in Saratoga has tripled since when I first met on this first week of work, Tyler Taylor at the Sassy, at the Senior Coordinating Committee back in 2016. He has since tripled the amount of funding they have for senior programs. And the town isn't putting more money in. But if one wants a vibrant senior programs, the community needs to do something about it. We need to get out there and be active. And so this is something, this foundation work with some committees to work on things like what do we do about our aging facilities for senior facilities? What do we do to help enhance programs and support them in a more sustainable way? That's it. So that's really the thumbnail sketch of the area that we wanted to talk about of the senior program roadmap. And if we go to this next one, we really wanted this just to be a conversation to tell you about and hear from you. Are there priority items that you've heard that were amongst our goals or amongst our objectives here that would be of interest to you? Or are there ideas where Monte Sereno and Los Gatos could partner together? I really see this as just one community. We'll live in the same, closely in the same area. And especially as we talk about community building programs for seniors, it seems to me like working with Nancy day in and day out has been great. And so I would hope that we might find ways that we could leverage off of things that we've learned that we might be able to help or provide some support for you all.
So at this point in the presentation, you've outlined, given us a thumbnail of what's in the roadmap, the 10-year roadmap, and that's included as an attachment, the complete roadmap. And now you're saying, what are Monte Sereno's priority items among our goals? Is that the question?
Yeah, yes. Are there things in this roadmap that would be valuable for your own particular goals? And are there ways that we could leverage or continue the process of the learning that we've done the last year and a half that would be useful with a supplement or another investigation to help the community here? Because certainly that would be great if it could be useful in other ways as well.
Well, I am only one voice on council, and we need at least 3 voices to move forward. But I see this as something that is definitely in our future. I mean, Los Gatos and Monte Sereno have so many linear feet of border. It's hard to tell when you're in Monte Sereno or Los Gatos unless you're right in the core of Monte Sereno. And even then there's some Los Gatos pockets just down the street, I think, from Councilmember Alahi. So I would, given how much work you've done in creating the roadmap for Los Gatos, I would be very excited to see if you could do some work for Monte Sereno and use some of the data collection so that you could say, gee, how could this help out Monte Sereno? That's what I would see, and it'd be nice to hear back from you in a little while. I'd see this as not the last meeting, but I mean, Los Gatos demographics are very similar to Monte Sereno demographics. So those are some of my thoughts. I would ask my other council members if they've got any thoughts.
Yeah, I just have one, and thank you very much for the presentation. It's very, very, very ambitious and very, very thorough. And I would love to get in touch with you more and possibly even discuss maybe forming a subcommittee or inside of Monte Sereno. I think that would be great. I think we need to use this as a launch point, and let's see where we can learn more about what your program's doing and how we can help get the citizens of Monte Sereno more involved with all of these really cool things. Because I know that we've had folks in here that had called the city asking for services that, would probably be best served by an organization like what's going on here.
I know Nancy and I would be delighted to meet one-on-one or two-on-one
Sure.
with you and talk about some of the different areas, because every time we do, we learn ourselves about, well, what are the real needs here? And some of these, I think, could benefit from scale, and some will be unique to you, and some might be, we may have learned from the workshops that Nancy had and all, that, how we could go about looking into using your new coming facility here next door, and just adding some things. So we would be excited to collaborate, to help in any way we could. And maybe in a month's time or something, we could come back with some, after we talked to with some ideas or some proposed thoughts about the specific things that might be of interest, just to try them out on you, see what you thought.
Great.
Yeah, and thank you again for the presentation. I think Tom and Nancy, you guys have really worked hard on it. Monte Sereno maybe 50% plus on seniors, but we're a fairly large size aging population. And everything you put together, I think will work for us. You may consider putting somebody from the Monte Sereno City Council on your board. And I don't know if you need two separate organizations or just one organization. That will give you more feedback on what's going on in Monte Sereno. But you're covering almost every area. I mean, obviously health and transportation is an important one. And you may be able to recruit some non-profit health organizations to show up once you got a place to take care of people. So I think it's an excellent idea. Thank you for that.
Thank you. And as we develop some independent community nonprofit type area, I mean, we would very much hope to have Monte Sereno a part of that. I mean, again, I really see this as our border community. And so we have Los Gatos on this name because the town council charged us. I was chair and Nancy was the subcommittee chair and on our executive committee to, deliver this report. And we did, but we hope it will go much further.
No, I'm just putting Los Gatos in doesn't make a difference. You can call the road anything, it's still a road, so you're fine.
Thank you.
They kept you very well.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have some questions. Your organization today, what percentage of the population do you serve in terms of Monte Sereno, Los Gatos, and Saratoga? Do you know that?
When you say organization, I'm not.
Seniors.
What's that?
Seniors that you serve.
The seniors that we serve, for example, one entity would be the 55 plus program at LGS Rec is, and they would know by zip code, I guess. We do not, there is no question when you come to one of this monthly social dance or to the game day, what town or city are you from? Everyone's
So we
welcome.
don't have that data now. Okay.
So I don't have a fine granular on that, but I do know, like our social groups, our monthly first Friday social from 4 to 5:30 at the Palms, where we just had drinks and hors d'oeuvres, and with very little advertising, it was immediately, we had 35 or 40 people coming every month, which was amazing.
And definitely some from Monte Sereno.
And definitely Monte Sereno, definitely from West San Jose. Not as many from Saratoga with their having more programs, I would say.
So is this a fee for service model or is it free for the seniors? What is it?
Free for seniors. For example, the social recreational 55 plus will charge us $30 a year this year. So that, you know, and then if you're a member of the 55 plus, you come to the dance, you pay $5. If you're not, you pay 10. The idea is to make it and this seems to be throughout this, the valley here, Santa Clara County. There's not a lot of appetite for a very expensive fee for service level thing. Although something like the villages would be a fee for, definitely fee for service, but for recreational programs in general, we've tried to maintain very low, but not necessarily zero, but a low cost. Game day doesn't cost anything, for example, or the bridge.
But that's LGS rec, right?
That's LGS.
I mean, that's not us, that's LGS rec.
Yeah.
So it's,
But
we tried to take all these different entities that are out there and try and make sense of it. So that we're more of a hub.
And our objective in having a nonprofit raise some money to help senior programs is very much in line with what Morgan Hill does, where they have a nonprofit, Friends of Morgan Hill Seniors, and they provide grants to the town. The town has a rec center and they have the senior programs, but they write a grant, give a grant to periodically to the town to help support certain activities. And the town says, you know, we want to start up this. Can you help us out? And so that's kind of a mixed model, but is nearly free, meant to be available to all seniors in the community.
Great, thank you very much for your presentation. Oh, I would like to open public comment at this point in time. If there's anyone here in chambers that would like to make a comment, please approach the podium. And if you're attending virtually, please raise your virtual hand.
Oral communication.
Oh, yes, yeah, we'll do that just a moment. No, so no one wishing to speak, I'll close public comment on this. And thank you so much for making the presentation. We really appreciate that. And I think we'll follow up with you afterwards.
Thank you. And we can be reached and would be very happy to meet with anyone, any of the counselors. We'd be delighted to go into particular questions you have or aspects you'd like to dig deeper on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now I would like to open oral communications where any member of the public can say, spend up to 3 minutes on any item that is not on the agenda. And if you're in chambers, please approach the podium. And if you're appearing virtually, please raise your virtual hand. And I see we've got former Mayor Jack Lucas approaching the podium. And there's no hands raised yet.
I guess I'm first then. Here's my ticket to speak. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm Jack Lucas. I live at 17171 Xena Avenue, Monte Sereno. I guess my claim to fame is I sat where you have all sat for 5 terms, a council member, 5-term mayor, and enjoyed every minute of it. And I guess part of my legacy, as I look up here, one of my terms, we purchased that seal right over the mayor's head. And that seal, our city manager at the time was also a certificated engineer. And he said, Jack, he said, you can't put that up with duct tape and thumbtacks. And I said, yes, we can, because we're a budget concerned city. We're not going to spend money to let a contractor put that up. Well, the council followed my advice, and I can see it hasn't fallen yet, Mr. Mayor. And I think it's going to stay there for time to come. That duct tape and that postage wrap, all very good.
I'm sorry. Yes, we just wanted to do that.
You want me to repeat?
No,
Oh,
no, go, wait, this is now what you're wanting to speak on.
yes.
Okay, now we are.
I did an end run around the clock on that one. I'm here for two purposes. I've been wearing two hats. One, when I left the council, I didn't have enough government. I ran for the Board of Trustees for West Valley Mission Community College District. Was elected. I've been on the board ever since. I also enjoy that form of government. So I'm going to put on my West Valley hat. There's 7 cities within the West Valley Mission Community College District. And I simply want to let you know, I just came by to say hello. If you ever have any questions about West Valley Mission, West Valley College, the college in your backyard, or West Valley Mission Community College District, I'm a lot easier to reach than going through the switchboard at the district office. So feel free to contact me. The cards are out. I don't, that's my home number on there. And please feel free to contact me. Okay, now at that point, I'm going to put on my community concert hat. The community concert, I'm also served as a board of director there. And we, for years, the community, Monte Sereno has supported the community concert through your grant program. We stopped during the COVID epidemic. We're up and running again. I shared our last 20 years of help that we received both from Monte Sereno and from Los Gatos. And I shared that with the mayor at your coffee with the mayor. Thank you very much for your hospitality yesterday. And we need the money. We're not as financially sound as you are. I want to thank you for taking our grant. I'd like to thank the city clerk for helping me get it in on time. I know you're going to look at it before next week. I mean, the next meeting in 2 weeks. I just want to thank you for considering it. Just great service. I've sent the flyers out for next year's programs. I would like to invite any of you to come in as my guests for the next year, any of the next year's services, performances. And having said that, thanks again for considering us, and we hope you keep us in mind. Los Gatos also has been very supportive of that. I didn't print this for the council, but the mayor has a copy. And
So Jack, thank you very much. I think that what you had said yesterday is you won't be able to be here when the grant applications are being considered. That's why you wanted to address council tonight.
Absolutely. Thank
Okay.
you for clarifying that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, I don't know if anyone's going to come in on the 16th. Our board of our board of trustees, we used to meet the first and the third Tuesdays of the month, which is a date probably on all your calendars. This is the first year we've tried to execute our meetings, only one meeting a month. And we're running a pilot program. That's why I'm here tonight. There's no board meeting, but we do meet on the third Tuesdays of the month. And then we have special meetings if needed. So
Thank
I
you
will
very
not be here. I'll be here in spirit. We've been around for years. It's our 76 years of providing performance. We had our last performance of 22-23 last Sunday, packed house, Los Gatos High School Auditorium. Thank you very much for letting me address you. It's nice to be back, and I wish you all the very best as you govern my city.
Always good to see you.
Thank you.
All
I
right.
would stay for the rest of the Warriors. Thanks again, buddy.
Thank you.
We're gonna put the game up on the screen.
That's bigger than my TV set. Thanks again, folks.
If there's anyone else from the public that would like to speak, please come to the podium. And if you're virtual, please raise your virtual hand. I will close public oral communications and we'll move to, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I have a question on this, because I don't know how the process works, so. If, for instance, on some of the things that already came up, like the, these two ordinances,
You wish to speak on the items that are on the agenda?
are they on the agenda?
Those items are. on the
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so can I speak on those now? Or should I have
No,
done that
you'll,
before?
you'll get to that point in the agenda, and then I'll ask for your comment. And then you can come up.
Yeah, okay, great.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
So, written communications, have we recorded all the written communications that we received on items that are not on the agenda?
Yes, all the written communication was emailed to, distributed to the council as well as posted onto the agenda.
Thank you. Now we've got, move to the consent calendar. We've got 4 items on the consent calendar. Does any member of council have any questions brief questions on the consent items?
So, I'm sorry, just really quickly, I want to clarify, I was addressed in regards to April 18th regular city council meetings. On one of the public comments, there was, one of the public commenters was not included, so I'll be inserting that in the minutes to reflect correctly.
You'll be amending the minutes as distributed for the April 18th meeting.
Yes, and including the name of one of the public speakers, the commenters in,
Okay,
in, the unfinished business.
so that's under item 1.
Yes,
Okay,
I just wanted to clarify that.
any other questions on the consent items?
I'd like to pull number 3.
Like to pull number 3, okay. Anyone else? No? Then what I'd like to do is see if any member of the public would like to pull an item from the consent calendar or make any comments. I will open public comment at this point in time. If you're here in chambers, please approach the podium. And if you're appearing virtually, please raise your virtual hand. No hands are raised. So we've had a request to pull item 3 from consent. We've got items 1, 2, and 4. So I would be looking for a motion.
Move to approve 1, 2, and 4 on the consent item.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. I guess we just need an oral. Oh,
Since we're still missing, as mayor, we still need to do a roll call.
No, not for that reason, but because there's an ordinance on the consent. You should
Oh,
take roll call.
yes, sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
You're
so
close.
the motion to approve all except for number 3. Councilmember Turner,
Yes.
Councilmember Craig,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucky,
Yes.
and Mayor Meganchuk.
Aye, motion carried. With that, item 3, I think we can take it right now because we only have one other item under unfinished business. And I know there's some people in the audience.
Yeah, so and I'll make it brief. I'm just not very happy with the services that are being provided by our consultants, and they're not available when the meeting is called, like the closed session today. And some of the objections could have been handled, I think. So I'm going to be voting no on that. And that's the only thing I'm going to do. I mean, don't know if I want to get more into it, but I just want to light a fire in our consultant to really help our planning commissioner. She's done a lot of hard work, and I assume she's been getting help, but my feeling is she's doing more, getting more of the load than the consultant themselves. So if somebody wants to make a motion on it.
Other questions or questions first, and then I'll open it for public comment. So questions on this? I do have a question. Ms. Perkins, do you feel that we're getting adequate value from EMC? And I know I'm putting you on the spot. And I've seen their work in other areas, and I am somewhat of the same opinion as Councilmember Elahi, but I'd like to hear from you, please.
Yes, good evening. I am Diana Perkins, the city's planner. We have been working with EMC Planning Group for about 1.5 years now. The reason that the staff was not available for tonight's closed session was our contact, this is the last day of his vacation, so he will be back tomorrow. We are working diligently on a schedule to complete the revisions to the most recent comments that we received from the housing element before the end of June to bring it back to council before your break. So we are working hard towards that effort and trying to do what is necessary to get that done.
Thank you. What is our, and forgive me for not knowing this number, how much have we paid to date?
So
Rough numbers.
to date, since June 2021, when the contract was first established, we have paid EMC approximately $193,000. And that does include, I think about $15,000 for the RENA appeal. That was done last year also.
Right, and and we're increasing that by some $300,000, so that's $500,000 in total.
No, I'm sorry, we're increasing the amendment before you tonight is to increase by approximately 85,000
Oh, 85, okay.
for the total of just over 300,000. I would also like to emphasize that the contract is the payments and invoices from the consultant and payments from the city are based on the actual time that they spent. So
It's time and materials.
correct. This contract amendment does envision covering a fourth submittal if needed. So.
Oh, this is a not to exceed then.
Correct.
Got it.
So the full amount may not be spent. We were just hoping to plan for what may be needed.
Yeah, so you paid we're gonna pay EMC Consulting $86,000 to work on their third submittal for the HCD project, is that right?
Not to exceed that amount,
Yes.
and we do envision that that would cover a potential fourth submittal if necessary.
Now, from reading the document, did we get a grant for that 85,000 or 86,000?
We did receive 2 grants
Okay,
for housing element expenses. And they have one for $65,000, which has been submitted for. I don't believe we received that reimbursement yet. The $20,000 grant, we have received the reimbursement for that early this year.
so that we cover the 86,000 that we were looking for. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions before I open it for public comment? If you are in chambers, please come to the podium. If you're appearing virtually, please raise your virtual hand. No hands raised, no one wishing to make a comment here in chambers. I'll close.
Just one comment.
I'll close the public comment first,
Sure.
and then I'll bring it back to council. So public comment is closed. Bring it back to council. Councilmember Lahi, go ahead.
Yeah, the invoices that they're submitting, are we getting copies of that or?
Yes.
Okay, and the council is getting copies of those invoices? Probably not, right? So I would like to see 70 invoices. That is here.
I mean,
Yeah,
those
absolutely.
invoices should be included in the warrants list. Every time we receive the warrants list and invoices paid, there'll be a corresponding check and invoice.
Right, there's a line item. I want to see that two invoices. So they're
Should-
paid by their hours and time and all that.
I believe we include those in the warrants list, but I will make sure.
That's where I got this information that I was asking.
Okay, okay.
Other comments? No, then we'd be looking for a motion.
Move to approve item 3 of the consent calendar.
I would second that.
We have a motion and a second. May we don't need a roll call vote. We can just do a vote.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
So 3 in favor and 1 opposed?
Yeah.
Is that correct? I'm sorry, I just didn't hear Councilmember.
and one absent. 3-1-1. Motion carries. With that, we're done with the consent calendar, and now we'll go to unfinished business. Item 1, waive second reading and adopt ordinance number NS-234, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Monte Sereno, amending section 10.01.020, definition specific terms. Do we have a staff report?
We do, thank you. Again, I am Diana Perkins, the city planner. This item was originally discussed by the city council at the August 2nd, 2022 meeting in response to comments that were raised at a code enforcement appeal hearing, which was also held on August 2nd. The city council first discussed the issue in detail at their September 6th, 2022 city council meeting, and at several meetings since that date. Most recently, the city council introduced the ordinance that is before you tonight at the April 18th council meeting. This ordinance would revise the definitions of a structure, structural coverage, and impervious coverage to remove swimming pools from the definition of a structure, and therefore also from structural coverage calculations, but keep the area of a swimming pool in the impervious coverage calculations. Staff recommends that the city council waive the second reading and adopt ordinance NS-234. That completes the staff report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, what I'd like to do from a process perspective is have council ask questions. Then once we've finished asking questions, then we will open public comment and close public comment, bring it back, have additional discussion, and then have a vote. With that, questions of staff.
No questions.
No questions.
I have no questions. With that, I will open public comment. And I think we've got someone in chambers that would like to speak.
Thank you. Mike, if I can make a comment first, and thank you all for your service. One thing about being this
Sorry, can you?
on Perry McCarthy, 18598 Twin Creeks Road, Monte Sereno. Just as you see in the political booklets that come out, besides the legal terminology, you get a summary. And I think it'd be very helpful to get, a summary that comes out with these, so that you can see what the major items are. I know the concern is always, well, maybe we didn't include everything, but there's a major thing in here about the pools and a few other things. And so it's nice, it'd be nice to have that and also see what's being changed. Not just the change. Now, maybe there's another place to see that, I don't know, but just suddenly having gotten into this, I go, it's kind of interesting to see. Second of all, I had sent a letter down, actually, I'd come down about 6 months ago and said, why are people building pools? This is before the rain started, but it just means it's counterintuitive to what I think the county's talking about doing. They're trying to reduce water consumption to 20 gallons a day from 60 gallons a day. And here we are allowing more pools with evaporation that occurs, energy that's used. And it just seems opposite of the environmental things that everybody seems to be talking about. And I don't, I'm a swimmer, okay, so and I have room for a pool. So I don't have any extra grind on that, other than I just think environmentally, it just doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure why we need to approve any more pools, much less some of this that's going on now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comment. If anyone else would like to make a public comment, please approach the podium and or raise your virtual hand. I will close public comment now and bring it back to council, and we can have some more discussion. And I'll start that discussion by saying, the United States, what I'm seeing as a member of the West Valley Clean Water Management Authority, I'm seeing what's going on across the United States in terms of stormwater and preventing stormwater from simply going from a property onto a driveway or a house through the downspouts into the curb and gutter, going down into a storm drain, and then going to a river, a tributary, or the bay. And what we're seeing is a move to water infiltration. And we're trying to get more and more water into the ground to recharge our underground aquifers. And it's not like it's centralized, it's everywhere. And here in Monte Sereno, we're going to do what's called a GSI project, a Green Stormwater Infrastructure Project. And it's going to be in the parking lot. I think we talked about it in our goal setting session, and it's going to be $125,000, and it's going to cover some 6,000 square feet. You know, we're doing all this work to recharge our underground aquifers. And at the same time, where we had pools and structural coverage before, now we're removing them. And I would concur with our speaker that that's inconsistent with what we're trying to do. And Monte Sereno can be a follower, Monte Sereno can be a leader. I prefer to be a leader. And I take this very, very seriously. I think that that changing the ordinance from what it was originally designed is not a good thing. I cannot support this at all, as I have not supported it through the various votes that have come up on this. So I would encourage our council members not to support this change. Those are my comments.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have one quick comment.
Go ahead. Thank you, Councilmember Craig.
So I just wanted to make a quick comment because a number of speakers have come up and talked about why are we still allowing pools, and I concur with you, sir. I find it very hypocritical when I sit in a meeting and San Jose Water comes in and tells us how dire our water situation is. And this is a true story from a number of years ago. And I'm in a room with the different mayors around the West Valley. And I raise my hand and I say, so John, are you suggesting, or would you suggest that we start restricting permitting swimming pools? And boy, you should have seen the looks that I got, the chastising that I took from some of our fellow cities. And I just don't think that's a sword that anybody's ready to jump on right now. But I agree with you, and you get enough folks to come in and say, hey, we really need to take a leadership position and stop permitting swimming pools, and I'll be with you on that one. So I just had to tell that story because you're probably about the 10th or 15th person I've heard say that exact thing. And I do agree with you. The only reason I like having a swimming pool, I bought the house, I had no choice. It's too darn expensive to get rid of. And with the shortage of water that's out there, I think it's a nice buffer to have in case of a fire. At least the fire department can show up and drop a hose in my swimming pool, and they can help put out the fire to any of my neighbors' houses, because 4 out of the first 5 houses do not have swimming pools, but the next 3 of us do. So I feel a little safer by having a swimming pool, so I'll only say that much. But I just wanted to say that I do hear what you're saying. That is my comment for tonight, and I am ready to make a motion that we approve item number 1, waiving the second reading and adopting the ordinance number NS 234.
And I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Because this is an ordinance, may we have a roll call vote, please? Oh, I had opened public comment and closed public comment.
Okay. Councilmember Turner,
Yes.
Councilmember Craig,
Yes.
Councilmember Lahey,
Yes.
Mayor Meckachuk.
No.
Motion passes with three. With one no. Yes, 3 yeses, 1 no. And 1 absent.
With that, we're done with unfinished business and we go on. There is no new business. Committee commission reports. And then council member comments. So committee commission reports, if we can go through the list here, council member Craig.
Okay, so the youth commission participated in the recent Earth Day event that was held over at the town plaza, where they worked with the, not sure which water district it was, Clean Water District. And we had, I think overall 4 of them were out there. I know some of them even brought their friends and was doing some recruiting for next year's youth commission. And they went out and interviewed some of the different folks and asked them how they were saving water in the community. And how many videos or how many interviews did they get? I know by the time I left them,
I
half
think
a
they were
dozen.
able to get at least 5.
Good,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So I'll need to get my
They
microphone back.
definitely went out there and asked a lot of folks. A lot of folks were too shy to be behind the camera. But I think they did really great and they enjoyed themselves. I could tell that they were enjoying themselves well, approaching everybody. So it was
Yeah.
good.
And also at our last youth commission meeting, they decided that they would like to host a ice cream social for the city's birthday. So that will be held at the town council meeting on the 16th. So bring your sweet tooth, bring your friends, and we're gonna have it in the parking lot and stay tuned. I think we were looking at 6:30. Or-
6:15, but we have one of our youth commissioners actually creating the flyer. So as soon as we get that finalized,
Send it
it'll be
out.
sending out for everybody to come join us.
Yeah.
All right. And I was delighted to see Commissioner Zeidler leading our Pledge of Allegiance.
Yep.
And that was a good tradition that was started several years ago, but we had problems during the pandemic. But that was good to see. Santa Clara Library JPA, any comments?
I had to miss that meeting. I'm sorry. I had a work issue that showed up.
Okay. Councilmember Lahey,
I didn't have any meetings, so I'm nothing to report.
you have nothing to report. Councilmember Turner.
Yes, I wanted to talk about a meeting that I attended. I participated in Supervisor Simidian's recent events regarding the 3,500 acre Lehigh quarry and cement plant that's located in Santa Clara County, the cities of Cupertino and Palo Alto. Lehigh have 2 major businesses pertaining to their quarry and cement plant. One is limestone mining to feed the cement plant, and the second one is crushing the aggregate. Lehigh are also considering turning the quarry into a landfill, hauling in material from the surrounding area and using the quarry as a dump. So state law requires that quarry land should be reclaimed, but no reclamation efforts are underway. So Government Simidian was looking for ways in which to prevent Lehigh's continued use of this property for industrial applications. He would like to see it reclaimed as low density open space so that we don't bring down the hillside, right? And in the near future, I will bring more information to the council on the negative impact of the quarry business and what can be done so we can mitigate the pollution of Romantic Creek. So thank you for listening, and that is my report.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Wolsheimer is not here today. And I did an extensive report that's attached to the agenda and will form part of the record. I would like to highlight a couple of points. Councilmember Turner, at the West Valley Mayors and Managers meeting that was held last week in, here in Los Gatos, Supervisor Semidian was there and he went through, that was the at noon before he presented that evening, and he did a very comprehensive report. I think it's amazing what he has done to move that ahead and in the best interests of the West Valley or of Santa Clara County. And I'm not sure if he had said, but he coined an expression, "Don't chop the top," with respect to stopping the what they wanted to do at the top of the mountain ridge there. In any event, I'm also I think we've all been invited to the scholarship presentation this Thursday, and I'll be attending that here locally. There's seems to be a lot going on. We're hosting the West Valley Clean Water Management Authority on Thursday, and following that is the solid waste on Thursday. So there are many activities going on. I think that, and the city selection committee is meeting next week, and it'll be right before the Better Streets. And I think it's going to be very important to attend as liaison for the Better Streets Commission meeting. I believe it's a week Thursday on the 11th.
I think it'll be for next month.
Or-
We never get them. Every evening.
Okay.
They're-
In any event, that's my report, and there's a comprehensive written report on that. With that, if we could move to council member comments, and I would like to start. Do you have the photos that I submitted? What you're going to see is this is the S curve on Davis Avenue. And on Friday afternoon at approximately 3:30 p.m., there was a westbound truck that was going at a high rate of speed, and it missed the corner and took out a mailbox there, and you see it on its side. Shortly before this happened, school got out at Dave's Avenue. There you see the front of the truck and where the truck collided with the center of the mailbox. There's the back of the pickup. And there you see the pickup truck and the mailbox. And if you look closely, the address of the mailbox is the same address as our vice mayor. That is what was in his driveway. And he called me and said, "Can you go and take a look at this?" So you will be seeing in the future this coming back, I believe, as an important item to work on the mitigation of speeding and starting to do some traffic calming on Dave's Avenue. I had a number of conversations with our city engineer. In any event, I thought that everyone should see that. Those are my council member comments. Other council member comments.
I just wanted to address the swimming pool issue. I think that's a great issue you brought up. And we asked our city manager to see if they can put it on the agenda, so we can overall discuss what limitations we need to put on swimming pools, if any, and just consider that in full blown with community involvement and everybody else. So hopefully it'll come back on our agenda so that we can focus on that. The item today was really just focusing on how you define structured covering. And what we did, we said swimming pools aren't covered, so don't include them in structured covering. But swimming pool and the use of water is an important issue that should be addressed, but we'll look at that.
Two quick comments. One, I don't like to do things just because other people do them, except in this case, I think it's kind of a neat thing. And that is when people do the Pledge of Allegiance over in Los Gatos, they get a nice little candy gift as a thank you. So I don't know if we could do something, hopefully better. I mean, I don't want to give them an iPad or anything, but
Bigger candy box.
bigger candy bars. Yeah. Give them like a full size, one of those giant Three Musketeers bars, not that little.
I can
Tiny.
confirm that while she was waiting though in the lobby, she definitely did some of the candy.
Kids love candy, I guess still. My second comment, as I was watching one of our speakers leaning on the podium, I noticed it's got a nice tilt going to it, and I know as a person who has definitely gripped his share of podiums in his lifetime, that could be a very important calming factor, and I sure hate to see somebody rip the top off of that thing one day, so we are in the possibilities of either repairing, shoring up. Maybe our poor little podium needs a little work on it. And that's it.
Councilmember Turner, do you have comments?
Yes, I'm on a break.
Okay. With that, we'll move to city manager's report. City Manager Leonardis.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for all the comments from the council this evening. I will be meeting with the vice mayor this Friday to look at that S curve by his house. And we're gonna come up with some short-term solutions to try to address that before the longer-term solutions come up, perhaps enhanced signage. I just wanted to mention to all the residents of Monte Sereno, please slow down. That's the second time this has happened in about a year. Right there. The first time was just as gory. So please look at that 15-mile-an-hour turn. That's for real. That's all.
All right, thank you. Future agenda items. I would like to repeat my request to look at our investment policy, and you alluded to that earlier today, a higher rate of return that we're getting, but I don't think we're getting a higher rate of return, and I really think we need to look at our investment policy. That's my future agenda item, and then as well, I think we need to have that discussion, as you just mentioned, at the Better Streets Commission level, first of all, on the S curve, and I noted that there was a grant application that was not approved last year in June, but it had different components, but the one component that we need to deal with is that S curve. So I'd like to see that at the Better Streets, and then coming back to council. Those are my future agenda items. Other agenda items by council members? No. All right, with that, what I'd like to do right now is adjourn the meeting to I'd like to have a recess of this meeting, and we are going to go back to our closed session from that we had to stop for this meeting, and then we'll come back and report back, and then we will end the recess and come back to the regular meeting.
Okay, so
Okay.
we're recessing for the conference with legal counsel, right? Anticipated with the litigation. Okay.
The public employment, closed session item or open session?
The public employment is the closed session.
That's also, so we discussed that.
But that's taken care of.
Thank you. Are we live?
Yes.
We're coming back, we're reconvening to open session. From our closed session, and I'm reporting back under conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code 54.956.9 D2E1. And there is nothing to report. With that, I will adjourn our closed session at 9:14 p.m. So we can end this Zoom now.
Yeah, so we're gonna continue on this committee and continue on to the regular.
Well, yeah, so now we continue with, we reset back into the regular meeting.
Now we're back into the recessed, we're gonna, I don't know, unrecess it. Our regular meeting that started at 7:15. And with that, we're gonna go into a closed session. And on that closed session, it is on public employment, Government Code Section 54.957, title City Attorney. With that, I'd like to open public comment, where any member of the public that's appearing virtually may raise their virtual hand and make a comment. There is no one in chambers. Is there anyone? There's
Just in case.
no one in public comment, so I will close public comment. And excuse me, we will recess to close session now.
All right, we are back.
All right.
All right, we're reconvening to open session from our closed session to discuss public employment, government code section 54957 regarding city attorney. There is nothing to report back on. And now at 9:41, I will adjourn the regular meeting.
Good job.